Alright, so for today's video, we're going to be going through how to hook up and configure a Woodward EM digital driver for either a gas valve or a water valve at either the north plant or the south plant. So the first thing you want to do once you've got your cable hooked up to the digital driver itself is you want to go into Device Manager, which you can accomplish by going to Start and typing Device Manager. And it'll pull up under Control Panel. You just click that. Once this loads, you want to go down to the ports, COM and LPT, and expand that subtree. And you'll see your USB to serial COM port, which on this one it loaded as COM1. You're going to right click and go to Properties, and then go to Port Settings. And by default it goes to this 19,200. For the Woodward digital drivers, it requires a baud rate of 38,400, so we're going to go ahead and set that. And you can leave the rest of these parameters as is, and just hit OK. And minimize that. And then what you're going to want to do is open up the ServLink program. And you're going to want to go to File, New. It should by default load the COM port that the USB to serial converter is on. If it doesn't, you can set it here. You want your mode to be point-to-point, and you want your baud rate to be 38,400. Once you do that and verify those settings, you can hit OK. And if you're showing these ones and zeros transitioning here between the computer representation and the driver, it shows that you actually have a connection. Once it's loaded, you'll see this DriveBert subtree. You can just ignore that and go to File, Save As. And we're going to save this as wgc.net. Ignore that. It has to be saved as wgc.net in order for the Woodward governor control driver interface program to work. So just save that. Because I've done this before, I already have this file, so I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, because each file contains different control information for different drivers. Now you want to leave this up and running in the background, so just go ahead and minimize that. And then you can open up your WGC DIP, the Woodward Governor Control Driver Interface Program. You'll get this UPCI serve link has not been registered. You can just hit OK. And UPCI serve link has not been registered again. Hit OK. And you should be into the driver interface program showing real values. If you've done all this and you can't connect, then you more than likely have an issue with the driver itself. Once you're in here, you're going to want to start off by going to Configure. The engine must be shut down. Configuration mode allows adjustment of operating system. It'll cause the actuator to move without warning. You just hit OK. Just to verify that you're doing this on an offline system. And the first thing you're going to want to do is set these actuator type, the redundant feedback resolvers disabled, and the drive to minimum shutdown configuration. Once you set this in a new driver, it'll tell you that you need to power down the driver by killing the 24-volt supply to the driver and then powering it back up. And once that is done, you need to go into the Tune submenu, and you need to set all these parameters, which will be located on the share drive for reference, which I'll make another video showing where they're at. Also, if you're ever in a bind, you can always just hook up to a known good driver and copy the values from a similar driver. So for example, if you're changing out a gas valve driver, you'd want to hook up to another unit's gas valve driver. All those settings are the same with the exception of under the calibrate menu. It's just another warning that everything must be off. Under the calibrate menu for gas valves, there's going to be this 20.55 for this is the resolver offset. This degree offset is located physically on the valve itself. So when you go to set this, you're going to want to look at the valve itself and see what is on there. Some of them might say 23.4 or 19.2. For this unit specifically, it's 20.55. And then once you have that in there, make sure you hit accept. If you don't, this calibrated light is red and it'll say that it's not calibrated. And for the north plant, you can't just hit a reset here. You actually have to go to the control system and hit reset there, which will bring your shutdown and status relays back to good. And you'll see that you actually have amps because the valve is currently driving at 0.04%. And that's how you connect to a Woodward digital driver.